Well, hey, folks, Dave DeBow back at you with another episode of the How to Raise Capital 101 show for real estate investors. Today, let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about getting into syndications, becoming a syndicator? Well, our special guest, Ben Benita, is doing exactly that. He's got quite a bit of experience under his belt syndicating deals, and we're going to take a deep dive into that and see what Ben's secret sauce is. So zooming in all the way from Virginia, Mr. Ben Benita, welcome.
There are millions of real estate investors out there, and most are stuck with just a couple of properties. They want financial freedom, but their small portfolio ends up costing them more in time, effort, and money than it's worth. Getting out of the rat race seems harder than ever. This show will help you do more deals, better deals, and bigger deals. Finally, you'll be able to reach your income and lifestyle goals. How? By attracting and leveraging private money partners and their capital. Now get ready to raise more money, because here's your host, Dave DeBow.
Yeah. Good to see you. All right, Ben, tell us a little bit about how you got into real estate and more specifically into syndicating.
Yeah, I've been in real estate for a while. I started out flipping houses. Always wanted to get into commercial real estate. Made a ton of money years ago flipping houses. Market turned. I got smoked. It's funny. I bought my first apartment building in 2016, and I want to say 2011 or 12. The very first syndication I did was actually for a laundromat. It's just cash flow. There was a couple people I met at one of the real estate investor meetings. We put the group together. It worked out great. Made some money, and it was just a neat model. Didn't do another one until I think it was 2016, 2017. We got our first apartment building. And I've been looking for deals and trying to raise money and meet people ever since. And that's me in a nutshell, my real estate.
Cool. No, I appreciate that. So, all right. So for folks that aren't familiar with the difference between a syndication and perhaps doing a joint venture, what is, without putting on your securities hat or whatnot, just what's your definition of the difference? How would you define that?
I've actually heard them used interchangeably. I personally use them interchangeably. I'm honestly not sure what the legal difference is. I probably should know that. But I consider any group, if it's you and I, or you and I and 4 or 5 other people, could call it joint venture. Most people in the business call it a syndication. But I don't really know that there is a big difference. It's always just a group of people, 2 people, 10 people coming together to buy a property or buy a laundromat. Or
fair enough. I guess my understanding of the difference might be is how involved, how you've got it structured. If you got within a corporate structure and, the active partners are the general partners, and then you got limited partners within that. And the limited partners have very little say in the day-to-day running of the deal and that kind of thing, versus a joint venture, perhaps being, the different parties are a little bit more involved in the deal.
Yeah, that's probably a better way with a joint venture. It's probably better to explain that way. Yeah, everybody's involved with the syndication. You may be the general partner in charge of property management, in charge of everything. I'm just writing you a check saying, "Hey, Dave, let's knock it out of the park." We're a joint venture. You may be in charge of the general contractor. I may be in charge of finding the deal, a property manager. So it's a joint venture is, I guess, mutual effort, where syndication is more
passive on the investor's side.
Yeah, more hands off.
Yeah. And then they've also heard, and again, it's different in different areas. It's depends on the number of people involved in the deal as well, and just the requirements of your local jurisdiction for that kind of thing. So, scratching the memory banks there, Ben, when you did that first syndication for the laundromat, how many people were involved in that deal? Do you recall?
Yeah, it actually worked out great. It was, I found it on Craigslist. Craigslist, even to this day, is still a decent place to find things. I was at one of the local, before they were, date myself here too, but before they had meetups around here, they just called them RIAs, Real Estate Associations. I was gone to one of those for a couple of years, hearing how Dave was flipping houses, Mike was flipping houses. I came across this laundromat again on Craigslist, and talked to, I think there were 6 of us all together. We each put up $20,000. It was $100,000 for the laundromat. We had $20,000, left over, for operations or mistakes is I didn't know anything about laundromats, and learned there's a whole lot more to it than just collecting quarters. But it worked out great. It was neat to put the group together.
Robert Kiyosaki makes it sound like it's just collecting quarters and
Yeah.
in the cash flow game and whatnot. So yeah, there's a little bit more involved.
A lot more. I said I learned a lot more about fixing laundromats, fixing machines. There wasn't nothing too tricky, but just kinds of dumb things. We got robbed once or twice. People break in and doing things. So it's probably a whole nother show. There's a lot of sexy stuff people talk about with laundromats and apartments and everything. You don't hear about the break-ins,
car washes and all the
car washes
passive
too,
stuff, right? Yeah,
exactly, passive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So 6 of you got into that. How long was that deal going for? Have you exited it, or do you still have it?
Yeah, we were out. I think we had it for about 2 or 3 years, and had another person came out and ended up buying us out on it. And I honestly don't remember the numbers on it. But
in the meantime, did it cash flow fairly well? Was it
cash flowing. Yeah, we covered. The investors all got a return. I think if I remember right, we paid a return quarterly, and I want to say we had it like about 3 years, and just ended up getting out of it. Some of the people were 2 of the partners were moving out of the area. We ended up selling it to somebody else, and it was a neat learning experience because we all. I think only one of the 6 of us had ever done a syndication before, and it was myself and one other partner were the guys. We were going down there collecting all the quarters, dealing with all the headaches. The other 4 persons were just people who flipped houses. They were passive, and again, it was really neat. I still have those documents, the private play, all the documents and stuff. I still use those as the basis for apartments or anything else we do, and it was just a really neat little learning experience.
So fast forward a few years, you got into your first apartment building deal. You did that as a syndication. What did that one look like? And then we'll fast forward to today and what you're doing these days. So that first apartment building syndication, what was that all about?
Yeah, it literally said I'd always wanted to get into apartments. I tell anybody listening to this, LoopNet and Crexy, great place to find apartments. And I was just on there randomly calling, hey Dave, you have an apartment listed, kind of making the relationships. And I got a call. Can't remember the broker's name. I got a call. It was about an apartment I looked at maybe a half hour or so from my house in Winchester, Virginia. It was 16 units. And the broker told me that the property is under contract, was about to fall through. Funny story on this, and a warning to others, but the people who had it under contract, it was 16 units. They're planning to renovate all the units, push the rents up and, BRRRR refinance and stuff.
Right.
About 3 weeks before closing, the buyer's general contractor was knocking on all the doors, telling the tenants, you guys are gonna have to get out because we're flipping this place. So their loan was contingent on having the property at least 50% occupied. So by the time, I may have the time frames wrong, but around about a week, 10 days before closing, I guess the bank went through, but the bank found out there are only 7 of the 16 tenants in there. So lesson learned. But the broker said their financing was falling through. I'd never done an apartment before. I got on, there's a website called Rentometer, and the 16-unit apartment, all the tenants were each paying $600 a month, and the average rent, according to that RENTO, Rentometer is the website.
Yeah.
According to that, the average price for there's 16 one bed, one bath, and the average price in that zip code was over $900 a month. So
wow, 50% more.
Yeah, it was like so. Checkbox number 1.
Yeah.
The guy was asking $565,000 for it. Super cheap. The houses around where I live are $600 or $700. So again, checked another box. I started asking. I didn't have any cash, my own cash to put into it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Started talking to some of the people I'd met at the real estate investor meetings. Some said it's a great deal, some didn't. I found a guy, Greg Holmes. He and I ended up partnering on it. I said we got it for $565,000. He didn't have them. We needed about $250,000, $300,000 to renovate everything. I didn't have it. He didn't have it. So we brought in a third partner. But still a syndication. The third partner put up the $300,000. So we took probably 17, 18 months as,
Well, what about the down payment to purchase the property in the first place? Who came up with that?
We only had to put down, I think it was $15,000, believe it or not.
Was it owner financed or something, or what?
No, my other partner, Greg Holmes, he flips a lot of houses, and his private money guy ended up giving us the funds for it.
Got it. So you got a private loan on that.
Yeah, we got a private loan on it. He put up $550,000. Greg put up $15,000. I didn't put up any of my own money. Actually got a 3% finder's fee. So I got 15 grand for buying an apartment. So I'm like,
Yeah.
this is
Nice.
beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So it's 565, put about 300 into it. After about 18, 19 months, we got an appraisal on it, appraised for $1.4 million.
Nice.
So that worked out. So we refinanced. We all put like $23,000 in our pocket. The investor got his money back. We each had, a third.
Yeah.
Sat on it for a while.
Got pretty much a perfect burr.
Yeah, I was like, why have I not been doing this forever? And it came to find
coming
out
coming
really,
from the flipping world for sure, where
yeah,
you're in and out, and now you're applying that skill set to a much bigger asset. And
Yeah.
instead of passing on all the value to the end buyer, you're keeping it, refinancing it, cashing out a nice little chunk of change.
yes. And it's
Beautiful
just,
win situation. All right, great. So that's how you got started. So 3 of you in that deal. Mini syndication or a joint venture, depends on how you look at it. So nowadays, what kind of deals are you focusing on today, Ben?
same kind of thing. I spend most of my time, LoopNet, Crexy. There's a number of other websites, a lot of brokers I know. I'm on a bunch of email lists where they'll send me 50 units here, 200 units there.
Yeah.
I have certain criteria that I look for.
So what's the minimum size that you're looking at these days?
My perfect deal is 20 plus units within a 4-hour drive of DC. Just because we can talk about this. Most of my private money, my guys who want to syndicate with me are the We Buy Houses guys. Secret sauce tip number 1. Almost every one of those guys wants to get into apartments, but doesn't know what to do. Most of them have never syndicated. So I, to this day, do this. So I see We Buy Houses sign. Hey, I'm Ben Benita. Have you ever thought about getting into apartments? Most of them, hell yes, I want to do apartments. If you find something, call me, add them to the list. So yeah, great, easy, simple tip. It's free. It's 2 seconds. I literally don't think I've ever had a person say no to that. And most of those guys, they're just perfect for syndications. They know real estate. They don't mind taking a little risk. Most of them are flipping houses, so they may make 40, 50K, 100K.
Plus, they're super busy.
Yes.
And don't have the time to be doing all this apartment stuff themselves.
Yes. And a lot of them, they have credit lines and stuff too. And like you said, most of my time now is literally spent looking, underwriting, looking at deals. Hey, this one makes sense. It's 20 minutes from my house. We need to raise $1 million or $2 million. If it fits the criteria, I'll get on the phone. Hey, remember we talked about apartments? Some of them, I've got 200 grand. I've just got a $1 million line of credit, and we put everything together that way. But it's
nice.
It's just great.
So for these kind of deals that what'd you say, between 1 and 1.5 million is typically what you're raising for these properties? How many?
It's literally all over the board.
Give or take.
I've met some people. It's easier to raise money for the smaller ones. There's gonna have to get as many people involved. We're actually under contract on a $9.2 million one and verbally approved on a $10 million one, which we'll have to raise a lot of money for.
But I guess the bread and butter ones is what I'm talking about here. So,
yeah.
So if you're raising 1 to 1.5 million, what's kind of your minimum investment that you're looking for from your partners?
I typically start at 25,000 because I know a lot of, it's just all over the board. It kind of depends who I've talked to, who I've met. If you and I have been talking for a while and you don't have a ton of money, you're looking to learn, I can let you get in for 25 grand and it's literally almost like a mentorship. I wouldn't a whole nother show about it, accredited, non-accredited investors and stuff, but you can be involved with me and actually help choose the paint colors, see how we do the contractors, help with property management and all that stuff. But it's generally 25 grand minimum. And then I'll sell. We offer units, securities laws and stuff too to worry about. But so you get 1 unit for 25 grand. So you might get 1 unit. Some other guy might get 4 units and put in 100 grand. You might have one person that says, hey, I love this area, I love this deal. I'll take the whole thing and we, negotiate that way. But generally it's at least 25 grand to get into any of the syndications.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because that's a lot of people. Okay, so let's talk about how you're doing lead generation for investors. Sounds like you got a secret sauce there going for the I Buy Houses guys. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
Hats off to you for that. That's
Those
fantastic. So at this point, how many how many passive investor partners do you have on the go involved in all of your different syndications at the time?
I have them all in Excel right now. it's a tricky thing. The list is probably 700 or 800 names long. The biggest problem myself, and I hear other syndicators say this too, is when it comes time to actually write the check. You and I may meet at a meetup, or you may say, hey, hell yeah, I'm in for 500 if you ever find anything. I may call you, and then it's tied up in another deal. You got to check with a business partner, a spouse, or something. So the number one aggravation is that somebody says, hey, I'm in for 200 grand. Perfect. 2 months later, I find a deal. Let's lock it up and get going, and things fall through. So it's the biggest frustration. Right now, I'm under contract now on 2 apartments and a marina, actually. And I've literally, most of my time now is just, hey, Dave, we met in a Facebook group. I saw you to meet up last night. How are you doing? How are your kids, whatever? Or remember we talked, I saw your We Buy Houses sign 2 weeks ago. Are you interested? And yeah, I put a short 1-page summary together with the sky view of the details. And he might say, hey, I don't want to deal with that because I don't like the numbers, or yeah, hell yeah, I'm in. Let's go for this. And,
yeah. It's chasing the money now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is always the challenge for sure, Ben. And so out of that list of 700 or 800 people, how many of those people are currently invested or have invested with you at some point? What's your best guess on?
It's funny. I've got a couple of go-to guys that there's probably 12 or 15 that literally I could pick up the phone right now and they'd write a check this evening if the deal made sense. And those are obviously the guys I go to first. And I know that because they either own apartments themselves or they've done other syndications, with me or someone else. So they know the whole thing versus I just met Ben, and you may Google Ben Benita and see that you love me or whatever the reason. You love me or hate me. Those are always my go-to guys. And yeah, those guys, 2 of them have credit lines over 20 million bucks. So they, unless they're tied up in other deals, they would literally do the checks pretty quick, but it's nice to have the backups.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of
my rule of thumb is always have twice as many investors and twice as much capital lined up as you think you need. So when the smoke clears, you get it. Now, Ben, just a question. Sounds like you're doing great with meeting new prospective investors and getting verbal commitments. Do you get them to sign off on an expression of interest or letter of intent or anything like that?
I've not done that. I know people that have. If you have one, I'd love to see it or get that, or if there was a way to kind of tie people in. But I've never found. One of the hardest hurdles for me ever to get over in real estate is that the money's always there, and that I literally couldn't agree more. It's just a matter of you may call 10 people on your list and they're out, and you're like, well, it's not worth it. It may be that 11 person who does it, or it may be you need you're one meetup away from hitting that person, or one post in Facebook multifamily properties. Hey, I need to raise another $100,000 to close this deal in DC, and what we can do on this podcast. But there's probably 4 or 5. There's at least 2 or 3 apartment investing Facebook groups that you could post a deal just about anywhere and you'll get the money. It's shocking. They're fantastic. Another great takeaway: look in those Facebook groups. Be active. Comment on. Dave, if you post, hey, I just found a 10-unit or 20-unit deal and wherever. Hey, congratulations, nice work. Be active in those groups. Encourage people. If you have questions, don't be afraid to post about syndications, where to find deals. The communities online are it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great advice. So one tip that I always give for our clients there, Ben, is get your investor prospects to sign off on an expression of interest. It's not legally binding, but just the fact that they've signed it shows me that they're a lot more serious than somebody that just gives you a verbal, let me know when you got something, right? Still doesn't guarantee you're going to get it, but it's a lot more likely. But like you say, a lot of it has to do with timing, and you're doing a pretty significant volume of deals, that's for sure.
I like that.
So now you've got a list of 700 or 800 people that have shown some sort of interest in your deals. Do you do any kind of what I call constant, consistent, edutaining communication to stay top of mind with those folks in between deals?
Not as much. Definitely not as much as I should. I do a random email now and again. I've half-assed started a Facebook group that I literally wish I was more active in. I wish I'd reached out to more people, but but literally probably the last 2 months, I've had a couple of great deals come across my desk. So I'm like, let me wait on that and let me, hunt
Yeah.
these down and go. And it's the entrepreneur's dilemma. And you're always juggling.
Yeah,
both.
there's too much
I don't
stuff
keep
on the
up
go.
like I should for sure.
Well, you're probably at the stage now where you could definitely be outsourcing some of that stuff. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite success stories around that is one of our clients. Her name's July, and she's been running a monthly newsletter without fail for over 20 years now. It's just every single month. Ding, ding. That's her one primary way of doing things. Could she do more? Would she be more successful? She did all the social media stuff, all that. Yeah, but at least she's got that and it goes out consistently. So I don't know if you're, and what I always recommend to people is figure out what floats your boat. What's easiest for you to do consistently. So she enjoys writing and all that kind of stuff. Most people don't.
Right.
So if that's the case, then I would recommend maybe even if you just did a monthly video where you just kind of, if you're comfortable, it seems like you're pretty comfortable on camera, where you just once a month, you just kind of talk about what you've been up to over the last month, work business wise, but personal wise, because I know you're a big fitness guy and I think you do Ironmans and you do marathons and triathlons and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure you've got some little clips that you could share from that. Just kind of staying top of mind with people. And at the end, always having that little call to action. Hey, you know what? We've always got deals on the go. We're syndicating lots of cool stuff. If you'd like to find out more about the deal we got on the go right now, click on the link, book a call, whatever that is.
Yeah, and get it through. In a pathetic story, it's always a goal to trying to reach out and touch some of those people on my list, and I do that periodically, and I've had over the years probably 3 or 4 times of the people that actually passed away, and I didn't even know. Somebody I met 2 or 3 years ago.
700 or 800 people, it's pretty hard to keep on track.
Yeah, it just you feel bad, but write that down too. It's definitely something I should be more diligent about. I like that the newsletter is great. It's simple, or pick up the phone. Hey, here's a deal we're looking at, and just put it out.
Well, it's just something that you can do, come hell or high water, at least once a month. Something's going out from you to your list. You got 700 or 800 people there. You could even set that up in MailChimp or something like that, where it just kind of, but it's got to be easy for you. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, right? There's all sorts of things we should do, but it's
no, you're right.
We should all over ourselves. Somebody once said.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that.
No, that's awesome, Ben. That is really, really impressive. Yeah, the idea, what you mentioned there, that you find out every once in a while somebody passed away. That just happened to me yesterday. You know how Facebook pops up and it says all the friends today that have had a birthday. Yeah. So I looked on there and there was a young guy that worked with me 7 or 8 years ago. It's his birthday today. So I clicked on it. I haven't heard from him in quite a while.
Yeah.
And found out the poor guy committed suicide last month.
Wow, that's a big
round out loud. But the challenge is there's the Facebook thing still up there, and if you don't know, you don't know. And it's hard to keep track of everybody, that's for sure.
Yeah. And that's, there's so many people out there, but we do our best.
So Ben, besides the whole brilliant idea of reaching out to the I buy houses guys as prospective investors, what would you say is your secret sauce when it comes to raising capital?
I would say that literally the 2 best things I think you could do, the biggest hurdle I think we all have to overcome is credibility. I find I had a meetup myself for a while. COVID started and I got away from it. If you run a meetup, some people are okay getting in front of people and being in charge of all that. If you're not okay with that, start going to them. Most bigger cities or most everywhere, has a meetup for apartments or flipping houses. Get there, get
or real estate in general.
Yeah, any kind of stuff. If you're comfortable with it, start your own meetup. You may have 2 or 3 people the first couple months, even 6 months, but as word spreads, as you talk it up, that grows, and you get something I learned a long time ago, at the front of the room credibility. People just assume if you're standing in front of me and you're running a group that you're legit, everything's good, incredible. If you're not comfortable, like say I'm super shy, but you're comfortable in front of, talking in front of people, don't be afraid to bring on a partner. You know, if
Yeah.
you and I start a meetup, you know, wherever, it's not just me in front of the room. We're both in front of the room. We both still have that credibility. I'd almost suggest doing that instead of doing it by yourself, just because it's a lot easier to, you know, dig and dong off of each other. That I think is important. Another really super simple one, and you can cheat technically with AI. I know that ChatGPT can write these things out for you, but put out a short book, 3 tips or 3 secrets for syndicating apartments, or
Mm-hmm.
2 great ways to find apartment leads. When you have a book out, same thing. People just assume you're, you know, a step above. You've got a lot of credibility. Those are the 2 big things. Most anybody that I just spoke last month at a meetup, the same thing about how to buy apartments. And I know anybody that, I like to think everybody loves me there. But, you know, if they're considering investing or anything, the first thing they're going to do is go to Google. Ben Benita,
Yeah.
who the heck are you? They might look me up on Facebook. So again, anybody watching this, Google yourself. So, you know, say you came to me, hey Ben, I got a deal. I need $50,000 or $500,000. The 2 things I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Facebook first, just to see if get some background on you. I'll definitely Google your name just to see, are you doing apartments, or is this completely out of your wheelhouse? You have no idea what you're doing. You pay attention to that stuff. So, you know, if I Google Dave DeBow, or if you Google Ben Benita, you know, have some idea what people are going to see on there. If there's something negative, I don't know, if you're arrested for something, got caught doing something you shouldn't, you know, be aware that other people are going to see that. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're Googling me and you see I was arrested for something, hey Dave, if you Google my name, I was arrested in 19 whatever for doing X, you know, just so there's no surprises. Otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah, people will immediately pull back. But yeah, the credibility is the biggest hurdle you'll come over. And the other thing too, if you're new in the business, I did this when I got started. Talk to other people that are syndicating and doing this stuff. If you call a broker, if you find a deal or something, hey Ben, who are you? I've done no apartment. I don't know anything about real estate, but my partner has. Or
Yeah.
you can say on the phone, we buy apartments, or we have millions of dollars. I may not have a single dollar, I may not have a single unit, but together we do. Dave and I do, or me and the other guy do. So again, there's a lot of ways to, you know, get through it. I just the saddest thing, and I know a lot of people out there, literally just super shy, or they hear 1 or 2 no's on the phone, or 1 or 2 people turn them down for the deals, and they're like, this isn't for me, this doesn't work. This stuff works. Reach out to me. I'm sure Dave is super helpful too, but yeah, it's literally just a matter of getting in the mindset, getting around the right people that are doing it, people that will help you. Like I said, those Facebook groups are, I was shocked when I first got into real estate how helpful everybody was. You know, hey Dave, I don't know anything about buying apartments. Can you help? You may tell me everything in the world, or you may not know anything, but you know somebody who will.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
just, the whole community is just, they're just great people. I mean,
No,
it's
that's
just,
wonderful. No,
love
good,
it, just love it.
good advice, Ben. I love your suggestion about starting a meetup or joining a meetup. I always recommend that as well. And I say, you know what, actually, if there is a good meetup in your area already, you don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to that one and let me know if this resonates with you, because typically there's 1 or 2 people carrying the whole load
Yes.
for that RIA or that meetup. And they would love somebody who's keen to come in and help them out. And like you say, you know, it's all about getting that front of the room credibility. They're always looking for speakers. They'd love to have somebody. If you're super shy, just start off by, you know, perhaps doing the registration at the front of the front at the back of the room when people come in. Just get your face out there so people start to know that you're part of the real estate community, and then build up from there. You don't necessarily need to start one from scratch, although that's highly recommended, but go join the one that exists. Ben, this has been a lot of fun. Time flies when we're having a good time. If people want to connect with you, find out more about Ben Benita, besides just Googling your name, what can they do? Where should they go?
I'll give you my cell phone. Call or text me. My personal cell is 703-926-1533. My email, I check it. I have an assistant that checks it too. Is BB, Ben Benita, BB Real Estate Ventures with an S, BB Real Estate Ventures at Gmail. If you have deals, if you have money, if you have any questions at all about anything multifamily, give me a call, shoot me a text. I'm here to help. It's just a great community.
Fantastic, Ben.
And I appreciate you letting me be on here.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Great.
This episode is brought to you by moneypartnerformula.com. Our Money Partner Formula service allows you to raise all the private capital you need to do all the deals you want while we handle the hard stuff. We offer reliable and affordable done-for-you marketing services that get you investor meetings booked without all the work. So go ahead and check out the website right now, and then feel free to schedule a call with me, and let's take your portfolio to the next level. Again, that's moneypartnerformula.com. Watch investor meetings pop up in your calendar. We handle the rest.